everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Mademoiselle Lena, and you can find me online at www.conjureknits.com. Today, we are here for our virtual book club. We are currently reading Enchantment of the Faerie Realm by Ted Andrews. We have been learning a lot as we go through this book, so if this is your first time watching with us, I do have a playlist on my YouTube channel, so you can go back and catch up if you want to. There's some pretty amazing stuff that we've already been through so far. This is a brand new YouTube channel, so if you would subscribe, that would be awesome. But let's go ahead and get started. All right, so today we are reading about the fantastic creatures of the Faerie Realm. All right, so here, off we go.
10. Fantastic Creatures of the Faerie Realm. The animal world, like the Faerie Realm itself, holds strong appeal to the imagination. Most societies had gods and goddesses who were the guardians and protectors of the animal kingdom. Working with them were many of those of the Faerie Realm. Even today, many fairies and elves work as guardians to animals. Although many bestiaries used animals to illustrate moral and religious doctrines, emphasizing the human-animal character, the fairies and elves teach us a different aspect of the animal world. Through them, we learn the instinctive altruism of animals and ourselves. By working with the fairies to re-establish relationships with the animal kingdom, we regain our instinctive intuition. 1. We become more sensitive to subtle changes around us. This includes the subtle changes in weather, the seasons, the expressions of others, etc. 2. We learn to read the omens of nature so as to foresee coming events. This is a true future pattern, based upon an understanding of animal behavior and not superstition. 3. We learn to recognize and use visual, auditory, and tactile signals in communicating with and understanding the world around us, physical and subtle. 4. We learn to recognize the beauty and essence of life in all of its expressions and on all dimensions. 5. We keep our creative imagination strong. There is so much more to the fairy realm than just fairies, elves, gnomes, and elemental spirits. Animals play an integral part. We have talked of the shape-shifting ability of many elves and fairies. The most common shape-shifting forms used are those of animals. The elves and fairies know that the animal world holds strong appeal to the human imagination. Using an animal form serves several purposes. It enables the fairies and elves to move about without being intruded upon by curious humans. It enables them to observe human behavior without being observed themselves. It is a form that is less intimidating to the average person than many elf and fairy forms. It increases our interest in and fascination for that aspect of Mother Nature. It can also be a form of mischievousness and play. As we open to the fairy realm, our connection to the animal kingdom will grow. The animals will often appear in unusual relationships with the fairy beings. You might see fairies sitting astride field mice, or tiny elves hitching rides upon fireflies. You may see miniature horses and giant birds. And it all serves to break down previous conceptions while opening us to new perceptions. You may see a rabbit that is blue, a horse that is red, and an eagle that is white. An owl may whisper to you in a foreign accent. You may hear a fly speak on philosophy. You may see a beetle with golden shoes and a fox in coat and tails. A leaf may sing to you as it falls lightly from the tree. A crow may make you laugh until you ache. You may even see the song of the nightingale, like waves of colors upon the air. In the fairy realm, the normal becomes fantastic, and the fantastic is all very normal. When you open to the fairies and elves, you also open to the fantastic creatures that were born of the imagination. This is the home of the mythical beasts and the wondrous animals we have read about in our stories and seen in our dreams. Often, these wondrous creatures are combinations of the real and the fantastic. But even if only approached from a symbolic level, they help us in transcending normal consciousness and awareness. You may encounter a winged horse, like Pegasus of Greek mythology. It is a symbol of the heightened power of the natural forces. It reflects the ability to control the animal within us and use its energies to soar to new heights. It can reflect increased ability to move from the mortal world to the fairy realm. You may even encounter something such as the Norwegian kraken in your explorations of the water element within the fairy realm. This legendary sea monster was the cause of great whirlpools. It had a round, flat body with many arms. It was so large that sailors often mistook its back for an island. It is a symbol of the mystery of water and the power it has over life. The fantastic creatures that you may encounter in the fairy realm are just as real as the fairies and elves themselves. They can and should be approached from several perspectives simultaneously. The first is as a life form of its own. Second, they can be viewed as a force of the fairy realm. Its form will reflect how that force is likely to manifest. Third, the creature will always have symbolic significance as well, for you or some aspect of your life. No matter what the creature is or the form it takes, every aspect of it has significance and should be noted. This includes its color, form, size, temperament, etc. All of these aspects are symbolic and should at least be examined from that perspective in relation to you and your life. The more you understand and find significance in it, the greater its powers will manifest for you. Preconceptions about these mystical and fantastic creatures are often shattered. You may, in fact, encounter a dragon, but it may be the size of a dragonfly. You may encounter a giant or ogre and find him to be as amiable as your best friend. Remember that connection with the fairy realm helps us break our limiting perspectives of life and open to new creative possibilities. Their energies and their ability to affect you, your consciousness, and your life is great. Be careful about making assumptions about them. Dragons are not meant to be slain. They are meant to be controlled as a force that can empower you. The fantastic creatures of the fairy realm are rare and very reclusive. They show themselves even less readily than the fairies and elves. You may work and play in the fairy realm for years and never even see a shadow of one. In fact, you may never see them at all. If they are encountered, though, they will be of great importance and significance to you. It is best not to go in search of them, as their energies are more intense than that of the fairies and elves. It can be extremely difficult to handle. Always keep in mind that, like the elves and fairies, these fantastic creatures can be a dynamic catalyst in your life. The fantastic creatures of this realm are by no means limited. There are many forms of these creatures and others found in this world. If you encounter a creature in a fearsome form, it may reflect energies you should be more cautious of in your life. Remember that those of this realm will often use a form that they know you can relate to. It may reflect dangers, or that which must be overcome if you are to master walking the threads between the worlds. They can also reflect the power of nature that can be terrifying if not understood and respected. The list is provided as a guideline only. It will give you some background on the more common creatures that may be encountered, and some of their hidden significance and powers. It should help increase your understanding of their role within this realm. Centaurs. Centaurs are half horse and half human. Most often, the half that is human is depicted as male, but there can be a female half. Sometimes the animal half has been depicted as a horse, and other times as a wild ass. In mythology, the centaurs have their origin in Babylonia, and originally were guardian spirits. In the Greek tradition, they were considered man-eaters, lecherous and violent. Creatures with half-human and half-animal characteristics are very symbolic. They reflect a movement away from the animal. They represent a change in consciousness and a rising to a new plane of awareness. Centaurs are very sexual creatures and stimulate strong sexual responses. Encountering one may reflect lessons associated with sexuality and learning to use its dynamic force in new ways. It can symbolize a time of greater knowledge rising out of turbulence. Encountering a centaur can also signify guardianship in some area of your life. Centaurs occasionally do become patrons of mortals, guiding and teaching them. Chiron is probably the most famous of such patrons. Tutor to Achilles, Hercules, and Asclepius, he had great knowledge of medicine, healing, and alchemy. Chiron also blessed wedlock. Weddings are very symbolic alchemical rituals on many levels. They exemplify the reconciliation of opposites, a new union of greater fertility and power. They hold the promise of new life, the promise that is set in motion when one encounters a centaur. Dragons. Dragons are fantastic creatures that have appeared in various forms throughout the world. Though Christianity has made them out to be evil, they are the epitome of power. Most dragons have been depicted as composites of other animals. They may have a snake's body and a lion's claws. They may have the wings of an eagle or a bat. They could be multi-headed like the Hydra, or they could shapeshift, using varied forms. The word dragon comes from the Greek drakon, for serpent or great worm. It was the Greek perception of the dragon that became the prototype for the Western world. Dragons are often depicted as guarding treasures or doorways to treasure. One dragon guarded the sacred grove where the golden fleece was hidden away, and another protected the golden apples of the Hesperides. This hidden treasure is often symbolic of hidden wisdom that is going to open up, or a new threshold that you will soon cross in your life. The basilisk is a dragon of great virulence. It is cobra-like and often depicted as a terrifying creature. It breathes fire and has a deadly venom. It can kill with a look from its eyes. If a human encounters a basilisk and lays eyes upon the monster first, the human will live. If the basilisk sees the human first, the human will die. Many of the qualities of the basilisk and other dragon forms are symbolic. The perception that it can kill probably has as much to do with the shock of seeing something so strange and powerful as it does with the changes that would result in the individual's life and consciousness as a result of such an encounter. The death may reflect a death of some aspect of the individual's life. As frightening as the basilisk dragon is made to appear, it has great magical properties as well. Its skin can repel snakes and spiders, and silver rubbed with its ashes will become gold. Crystal will deflect its deadly vision and its venom. It has been said that the eyes are the gateways to the soul, and it is through the basilisk form of the dragon that we learn to read the true soul of individuals by looking into their eyes. This dragon has the knowledge to use the eyes to entrance and to control. The basilisk form of the dragon is one that I invoke and draw into my home environment when I travel. It provides protection for the house and all within it. The energy of this protector is such that those who may think about breaking in are going to feel very uneasy around the house, so much so that they are more likely to avoid my house entirely. Other countries have different forms and myths of the dragon. The epitome of the dragon of Old English lore is probably best found in the beast Grendel of the epic Beowulf. In Egypt, the population of serpents, dragons, and snakes was controlled by the ibis. From the Chinese, we get a different view of dragons. In Chinese mythology, dragons are powerful, but most often beneficent. Not just traditional fire-breathing beasts. They are associated with each of the elements. There are water dragons and cloud dragons. The imperial dragon, the most powerful, always has 5 claws, and it holds, either in its claws or under its chin, a great pearl. This pearl is magical and can multiply whatever it was placed with: food, money, jewels, or whatever. The dragon has been the source of many creation and destruction myths and tales. If nothing else, this reflects the tremendous power associated with it. It has fired the imagination of people in both the East and West. Of all the creatures in the fairy realm, it is one that still inspires great awe and fear, in spite of its general benevolence. The dragon comes in many sizes and forms. In most of them, it is the personification of life. Its eyes are often glittering springs or gold. It can see and hear better than almost any creature. Should you encounter a dragon in your explorations of the fairy realm, it may signify that your own senses and life energies will be amplified. The dragon is the force of wisdom, strength, and spiritual power. It is the primal force of creation. It is also the guardian, and when a dragon is encountered, you will experience greater strength and guardianship in your life. Dragons are wondrous creatures, and one of the great rewards of opening to the fairy realm. As mentioned in Chapter 8, planting basil, sacred to the basilisk form of the dragon, is a means of inviting them into your environment and making yourself more open to their perception. Giants. Giants have been a part of many creation myths and tales. The Greeks had their titans, and the Teutonic tradition had its own great being. From frost giants to giant maidens, such as in the tale of Frey and Gerd. In the Sumerian epic of Gilgamesh, the giant Humbaba was the guardian of the Garden of Ishtar. And in biblical scripture, we find the tale of the giant Goliath. Giants are symbols of primeval forces associated with an area of Mother Nature, often guarding some of her treasures. There are hill giants, mountain giants, river giants, and forest giants. They reflect and embody the energy of their natural environment. They hold the key to its wisdom and power. They are neither good nor evil, but their energy amplifies that of humans. Sasquatch, Bigfoot of North America, the Yeti, the abominable snowman of the Himalayas, and other such giant beings are part of the fairy realm. They reflect the energies of the environment and often take a form that enables ease of movement within it. This is why they are so difficult to encounter and verify. Because they are part of the fairy realm, they can take various forms, and they can make themselves visible or invisible. Giants hold the key to putting things into proper perspective. They also can be a symbol of how best to move beyond your present human stature. The specific characteristics and form of the giant will provide the significant clues. Giants and great-sized beasts in the fairy realm often serve as tutors and protectors. Although in such stories as Jack and the Beanstalk, and encounters with the Cyclops in the tale of Jason and the Golden Fleece, we see an evil aspect of giants. These are really the exception. For those who don't understand what they are truly encountering in such beings, there will be fear and intimidation. And this is sad, as the giants are incapable of being confined to a specific category. Giants are an amplification of energies and attitudes, and they will amplify and mirror such back to you. They are drawn to those who need strength, those who are timid and introverted, and those who are gentle and childlike. They defend the common folk and the simple nobility of leading a good life. They will take a form and appearance that is very symbolic and significant to you personally. They are often the guardians of that which should be most treasured, yet is often unrecognized. For example, a one-eyed cyclops may teach you to open the inner eye, or help you develop far-sighted vision.
Wow, I'm learning a lot. I mean, I knew that there were centaurs and dragons and giants and other beings, but I guess I didn't put two and two together that they would be from the fairy realm. What do you guys think about that? It's very interesting. I remember there was a dragon ritual that we did to bring down the baby dragons, and I had a baby dragon with me for a long time. So I know there are ways that you can call these creatures to you, even though it was advised at the beginning you probably shouldn't go seeking them out. Sometimes under very specific circumstances you can, and it is such an amazing experience. But let me know what you guys are thinking so far. Let me know you're still with me. All right, we'll keep going.
Mermaids and mermen. Although discussed earlier in the chapter on spirits of the water element, it also is important to examine these spirits as fantastic creatures of the fairy realm. Mermaids are beautiful women to the waist, with a fishtail below. Sometimes they have two legs, sometimes two tails. They sing beautifully and are often seen sunning themselves on rocks offshore. Mermaids are the incarnate beauty of the sights and sounds of water. An encounter with them can enrich or endanger, depending on how well balanced you are. They will take mortals into their favor, and they are strong and faithful protectors. They are also the guardians and avengers of women. Mermaids are symbols of tolerance and the separation of the animal from the intellect. They reflect awakening freedom and imagination. They also hold the knowledge of storms and future events. They can grant wishes and can even bestow some supernatural powers. They can reveal treasures and teach wisdom. Mermen are the male counterparts of mermaids. In Greek mythology, Triton, a sea god born of Poseidon and Amphitrite, was the epitome of this being, as he possessed the head and trunk of a man and the tail of a fish. Sirens. Sirens are often associated with the negative aspects of water spirits. Sometimes they are depicted as bird women, and at other times they are seen as sea nymphs. Traditionally, they were women who sang and played music so sweet and enticing that it lured mariners to destruction on the rocks surrounding their island. In essence, such stories may be more symbolic than anything else, reflecting the enticement of the realm for those who learn to hear its call, and symbolizing the death of one aspect of ourselves as we open to another. Contact with a siren may bring knowledge of the magical power of words. They hold the knowledge of enchantment and allurement, and though they are often depicted as ugly in appearance, the song that comes forth from them makes them beautiful. These beings hold the key to finding our own inner beauty, in spite of outer appearances. Griffin. The griffin has its origins in the Middle East, and it is usually depicted with a combination of animal characteristics. Usually, it is part lion and part eagle, the wings and head encompassing the characteristics of the eagle. Others have given it attributes from every part of the animal kingdom: beak of a falcon, eyes of a human, ears of a fish, the tail of a snake, etc. Sometimes it is even depicted with antelope horns to denote its swiftness, and gold feathers upon its head, neck, and wings to denote its spiritual magic. For general discussion, a griffin can be considered any creature that is part mammal and part bird, regardless of the specifics. As bird and beast, it is symbolic of heaven and earth, spirit and matter, good and evil, guardian and avenger. As guardian, it is considered protective and gentle. As avenger, it is vicious and relentless. It is often the avenger of the fairies and elves, as it guards their realm against abuse and unwanted intrusion. Such guardianship and protection will take the form of natural phenomena, for example, storms, etc. To the Assyrians, the angel of death would come in the form of a griffin. It embodies the union between the falcon and its solar aspects and the feline aspects of the night, a symbol of never-ending vigilance. To encounter a griffin is to encounter great magic and power. It is ever vigilant, and it guards both the earth and sky. Thus, it provides protection while awake and asleep. The griffin has a keen sense of hearing, and when it works as your protector, it responds to your softest whisper. It also awakens within you the ability to hear what is behind the words of others. The griffin is faster than lightning. When first encountered, it is often seen at rest, with eyes ever alert. And usually there is thunder and lightning in the background, as if to make it stand out against the sky itself. Generally, within 3 days of a Faerie Realm encounter with a griffin, no matter how imaginary you may think it may have been, if it was a true encounter, you will see lightning in the sky, or there will be a thunderstorm. After an encounter with a griffin, you will often encounter a feather in the mortal world. It may come as a gift from someone, or you may just happen upon it, but it will be a unique feather. It is usually acquired within 7 days. It is a direct link to the griffin and its energies. Holding it and meditating upon it is a way of calling the griffin to you. One of the most beautiful feathers I have ever received came to me after a griffin encounter, related at the end of this chapter. Eagle, vulture, and falcon feathers are directly linked to the griffin of old, and were once used in fetishes to attract its influence. The golden eagle particularly, because of the golden feathering around its head and neck, was even more appropriate. It must be noted that today, possession of eagle feathers and the feathers of most raptors is illegal, as many of these species are endangered. Simply possessing an eagle feather can bring a stiff fine and/or imprisonment. They also are not necessary to meeting a griffin in real life. Meeting a griffin heralds a time of great power and magic. It lends its immense strength and readiness for whatever task may be at hand. It indicates that a new road is going to open for you soon. When passed over the eyes, its feathers could heal blindness. It signals a time of action and new salvation through linking your psychic energies with your normal, day-to-day life activities. Phoenix. The phoenix is the legendary bird that sacrificed itself to fire and rose renewed from its ashes. Legends and myths contain common threads that link them to the phoenix. The hero lives a long life, and the phoenix appears either just before or after his death. Through death, the hero is able to live again. With its gold and red feathers, its pheasant-like head and long plumage, the phoenix stirs the body and soul. In Chinese mythology, the plumage is a blending of 5 colors that have a sweet sound, creating a harmony of 5 notes. In Egypt, it was linked to the worship of the sun god Ra. Even in Christianity, it is a symbol of the death and resurrection of Jesus. Traditionally, there is only one phoenix alive at a time, and it lives for 500 years. It lays a golden egg, and as it is consumed in the fire, the new phoenix breaks out from the egg and rises with the flames. It is an ancient symbol of the sun and of resurrection, life after death. It reflects the immortal soul, love, eternal youth, and even self-sufficiency. It is one of the few fantastic creatures that can be fun to seek. The best time is when the early morning sun is at its peak, or when the last of the evening sun can be seen. Spring and autumn are the best times to encounter it. Myrrh is a fragrance that draws it. If encountered, you can expect rebirth within your life. It will always be dynamic and beneficial. It signals a time of new life, energy, and a new beginning. Sphinx. The Sphinx is a creature of great mystery. To the Greeks, it was a winged monster, having the head of a woman and the body of a lion. In Phoenicia, it had the body of a lion and either a male or female head. To the Egyptians, it was a figure having the body of a lion and the head of a man, ram, or hawk. The latter is more closely connected to the image and power of the griffin, to which the Sphinx is related. The Sphinx was a symbol of divine knowledge and the power of the mind to raise us to new heights and perceptions. This creature was the guardian of ancient mysteries. To be open to the mysteries, you often had to pass a test or solve a riddle. The penalty for failing was death. Often, the Sphinx itself would devour the individual. In many ways, this signifies the danger of knowledge not applied or misused. Forgetfulness, ignorance, or any disease of the mind would prevent you from gaining access to the true mysteries and higher wisdom. Encountering the Sphinx indicates a coming period of education, an opportunity for the mind to raise itself above nature. It may indicate that the reason is linked with the soul. The Sphinx has knowledge of the art of prophecy and oracles. It is the keeper of knowledge and beauty of the past and present. It can reveal the potential of any love, good, bad, or indifferent. It also holds the key to the physical and spiritual mysteries of intercourse and birth. Unicorn. The unicorn has become a dynamic symbol of all the magic, enchantment, and power of the Faerie Realm. It has universal appeal and symbolism. It has been written about in India, Africa, China, Mesopotamia, Babylon, early Christianity, and it is even found in modern stories and lore. In Lewis Carroll's Through the Looking Glass, Alice encounters a unicorn, and James Thurber wrote of a humorous encounter in his story, The Unicorn in the Garden. Descriptions of the unicorn vary. To classical writers, the unicorn had a stag's head, the feet of an elephant, the tail of a bear, and the body of a horse. It also had a single black horn. Stygia the Greek, in his work Indica, wrote that the unicorn had a white body, a purple head, and dark blue eyes. Its horn was white at the base, black in the center, and dark red at the tip. Most depictions, though, give it the form of a horse with a single spiraled horn projecting from its forehead. Perhaps the greatest reason for the unicorn's widespread appeal is that it falls within the limits of probability. Many animals upon the planet have horns, so why can't a horse? The unicorn appeals to the imagination. It is part of the world of dreams. It is a symbol of the sun and long life. It reflects mystery, power, beauty, chastity, and ferocity. It is a symbol of humanity's longing for the mysterious and the unattainable. The killing of the unicorn is symbolic of the loss of innocence. The apple tree is its home, and thus an apple blossom fragrance can be used in meditation to help draw the unicorn out into the open. Cedar is also good, as the unicorn is known to keep its treasures in a cedar box. Submissiveness, purity of heart, and gentle, loving innocence draw unicorns out into the open. The search for the unicorn can be likened to the quest for the Holy Grail. Only the strongest and most pure will achieve it. Encounters with a unicorn can bring new understanding of purity, chastity, and the true power of sexuality. The unicorn holds the knowledge and treasures of alchemy. It can stimulate healing, and the unicorn can purify water simply through its presence. More than anything else, an encounter with a unicorn will free the imagination. And when the imagination is truly free, the entire fairy realm is opened wide. Excerpt from my personal journal. While working on the chapter on fantastic creatures for my fairy book, I wondered why a griffin had not come to help while the area behind my house was being torn up. Those beings and creatures of the natural element are always so responsive. I finished the chapter and noticed that the workers had also finished. It was a sad day. Although they tried to make it look nice, I still felt an aching sense of loneliness. As I relaxed that evening in front of the TV, I heard a loud, splintering sound. It sounded much like lightning. I turned down the TV, but there was nothing else. Then half an hour later, there was a crash, a splintering, and then the house was pitched into darkness. The electricity was out. I went to the backyard and almost cheered. One of the trees that had been left by the workers had split, as if struck by lightning. The limb fell and wiped out the power lines to the apartment complex and everything within a 1-block radius around the area that had been gutted. I couldn't help notice the association of electricity and guardianship of the griffin as it applied to this situation. I closed my eyes and gave a quiet thanks to the griffin that had visited. The next morning, as I sat on my back porch swing, I spied a small but very unique feather at my feet. As I picked it up, a breeze blew over me. In my mind, I could imagine it coming from the wings of a griffin. As I held the feather, my body was covered in goosebumps, and I had all the confirmation I needed.
Wow, that's almost chilling. So, what did you guys think about today's chapter or this week's chapter? I found it pretty amazing because, the fairy realm does go beyond just the smaller creatures. There's a bunch of amazing creatures out there, that come and help us. They really do. And they guard the fairies, they guard us, they guard our property. They're just amazing beings out there. So I'd love to hear your comments. Okay, let's see what next week we've got coming up will be the blessing of the fairy godmothers. Wow. Okay. That one's going to be amazing. I can't wait for that one. So we've all heard stories about the fairy godmothers and their blessings. So let me go ahead and mark that and get it ready for next week. If you guys have any questions or anything that you want to discuss, go ahead and drop a comment in the comment section below. Like I said at the beginning, this is a brand new YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and click on the little bell so that you'll receive notifications of when I go live or upload new videos. If you are just joining us for the very first time, welcome and thank you so much. If you would like to catch up, I do have a playlist on my YouTube channel entitled Virtual Book Club. You can go back and watch the previous 10 episodes, or actually, no, this is episode 10. So the previous 9 episodes, and get caught up. A lot of them have meditations, how you can call the different fairy types to you. Also, whatever your zodiac sign is, that element, you can go back and listen to the chapter about that particular element. Say, like, you're a Leo, you can go back and re-listen to the fire elementals and do the meditation. And it's really amazing. It really is. We've really been learning a lot here. And like I said, thank you for joining me, and I can't wait to see you back here again next week. All right, guys, I hope you all have a very amazing week and love you bunches. Bye bye.